Bradley and Mark Manuel.
Oh, cool. Hey, there we go. Got Mark in there. There you go.
The guy that got it all started ain't even going.
I know.
Having a dinner opening night
Yeah.
of the Chamber Tree.
I know, man. I mean, it is. We are.
I know you're not even
crashing.
So it's 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, stop having fun, please.
Well,
So it's 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. First item in your packet is you have the minutes from the April board meeting. Unless there are corrections, we'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Richard, Caroline, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have a couple of applications today. Mr. Benz, I will turn it over to you for Silver Fern.
Good morning, everybody. First application that you have on your agenda today is Silver Fern Group Services. We have representatives from the applicant today here to address the board. This is a application for a $100,000 forgivable loan incentive for up to a 10-year period, as you would typically see. Silver Fern Group provides a software platform to large-scale greenhouse operations. They currently have 10 full-time employees and anticipate adding a total of 5 jobs in the next year at a mean hourly wage of $49.60. And as you'll recall, your requirement is $24 an hour. This incentive will fund in part a $2.2 million expansion project that they have pending in Lexington. The Jobs Fund policy does allow forgivable loans with board and council approval up to $100,000, which is the request you have in front of you today, with the following criteria, which the applicant does appear to meet. It shall be a high-growth business located in or planning to move to Lexington. There's a job creation requirement. Shall be current with all federal, state, and local taxes. Average wages for job creation must be greater than or equal to 125% of the county median. If the board chooses to recommend approval of the application, staff recommends a 10-year Jobs Fund loan incentive as described in the application with the following conditions and considerations. And those would be subject to the company headquarters being located in Lexington, Kentucky during the entire compliance period of the loan, that 10-year period. Disbursement of funds would be phased upon activation of the incentive. The monitoring period for the incentive would be up to 10 years from the date of approval by the council, consistent with the payback period of the loan. Subject to this board's review and recommendation regarding the incentive amount, forgivability of the loan, and the loan terms. Staff recommends that the board consider forgivability beginning after all of the required jobs are hired, so after the 5 jobs are hired. And just as a information point, I took a look at the 10-year treasury rate, which is kind of the bottom rate that the board considers. Took a look at that this morning and it was at 1.875. Typically the board has been using a 3% kind of floor for these applications. And again, the applicant's here to address the board, and I'm glad to turn that over to them with the board's permission.
Sierra. And while she makes her way up, on the jobs component, just so you all are clear, we approve as new hires anything. We don't allow the company to make offers or hires before this board's action. So anybody hired before or offered before that time will not count toward compliance. It has to be after this board meets.
Okay.
Perfect. Just to give you a little bit of background, my name is Sierra Enlow. I'm with a firm called McGuire Sponsel. I'm based in Kentucky, but the firm is based out of Indianapolis. And we work with companies that are growing quickly, expanding, looking for new locations across the country. And we're very excited that this client came to us and said, let us know what we can do to stay in Lexington. And so this was one of the big projects that we worked on with this client on, is to find a way to help support their growth here in the city of Lexington, and you all have been very supportive of it. We think that this project and this company has a lot of opportunity to grow and continue to invest in this agri-tech space within Lexington Fayette County urban government, and we're pretty excited about it. They are investing very heavily in R&D technology, investing in their software development. They're going to be hiring several high-wage positions over the next couple of years. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions about the client and the company, but we are very excited that we were able to find some good solutions for them to grow here in Lexington.
Thank you all for having me here, and thank you to Sierra and her team. So as you all know, a lot of our client leads come through economic development consultants, and Sierra is one of those that we have had relationships with. But her background also, she used to work at Greater Louisville Inc. several years back, and she was a project manager, so she was one of our peers and went on to be on the other side of the world and do economic development consulting. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I also used to work for Mayor Newberry in 2010 and the College of Agriculture, so my soul feels happy every time I cross into Lexington. Very excited to come back and visit.
Just question about new hires. There are these not committed at full time off-site or I'm working with companies now that are having people work.
Right, yeah. So the agreement really focuses on Lexington jobs, and my understanding is that these are Lexington jobs that will be grown in here for the first 5 positions. The company is very committed to hiring Kentuckians, so as we look at future growth past that initial expansion phase, they're going to be looking at how do we keep these software developers in Kentucky and take advantage of programs across the state to keep hiring those individuals. With this expansion, it does allow them to start prepping for a new office space and to increase their square footage. They're currently in kind of a small area and they're outgrowing it pretty quickly. They went from 3 employees a year ago to having 11 now, and then they're planning for several new positions in the next couple of years. So this is going to allow them to be in office as opposed to having those remote positions. Yeah.
I make that motion to approve.
Tyrone? Second. Richard?
Thanks. Thank you.
I may have missed part of that last motion. Did you set an interest rate and so on? It is 1.875 currently. The board in the recent past has set a 3% rate as kind of the floor for these, but it'll be up to your discretion.
I'd like to add to the motion that we continue the board staying at about 3%, staying at 3%.
Second.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, your next application is for Helios Aero Systems. This is an incentive application for a $120,000 loan for up to a 10-year period. Helios Aero Systems provides modular structures for multi-mission aircraft. And after I looked into that, what that really means in layman's terms is that it's equipment racks that are used in military applications in airplanes. So the applicant will explain that way better than I did, but that's my understanding of it. The company has 4 full-time employees and anticipates adding 3 jobs over the next 7 years at a mean average wage of $31 an hour. And again, the requirement is $24 an hour, so they are exceeding that. The incentive will fund capital expenses and improvements to allow in-house manufacturing of their products. The Jobs Fund policy allows loans with board and council approval up to $250,000, so this request is compliant in that regard. The approval criteria that are typically used, which the applicant does appear to meet, are that the business shall be located in or planning to move to Lexington. There's a job creation requirement. They shall be current with all federal, state, and local taxes, shall produce a tradable good or provide a tradable service, and again, average wages for job creation must be greater or equal to 125% of the county median income. If the board chooses to recommend approval of the application, staff recommends a 10-year jobs loan incentive as described in the application in the amount of $120,000 with the following conditions and considerations. It'd be subject to the company headquarters being located in Lexington during the compliance period of the loan, that 10-year period. Disbursement of funds would be phased upon activation of the incentive. The monitoring period of the incentive will be up to 10 years from the date of approval by the council, consistent with the payback period of the loan. And of course, subject to this board's review and recommendation regarding the incentive amount and the loan terms, that percentage rate. And again, subject to a personal guarantee as you would typically see. Just as a reminder, you heard this a few times already, but the 10-year treasury rate was 1.875 as of this morning, and the applicant is here to address the board.
Good morning. Thank you all. I'm actually going to hand a few of these out. I don't have enough. This is a little bigger meeting than I realized. For a few of you here, pass them around just so you get a little bit of picture of some of our products and what we're using here.
Your presentation's just rolling on itself.
Oh, okay.
Take it back.
Yeah. So, as Craig said, we're Helios Aerosystems. We were founded in 2011 here in Lexington. My business partner and our company president, Alan Bevan, is a Georgetown native. This is not going to maybe exit out of the presentation. Yeah, thank you. Is a Georgetown native. I'm from Bardstown, Kentucky. Alan is a United States Air Force Academy grad and served in the Air Force for several years before leaving the Air Force and coming to work for Belcan here downtown as an engineer. He served as an engineer in the Air Force. He gained some experience there and then went off and started his own company, Helios. I joined Helios in 2012. We had various offices downtown, and about a little over 2 years ago, we purchased a building off of Lagonda Avenue, which is off of Delaware Avenue, near Pasta Garage, Pivot Brewing, those establishments. We provide two different core tenants, core portions of our business: engineering services. We do a lot of analysis, calculations, and design for modifying aircraft, commercial aircraft, VIP aircraft, as well as our main focus is military aircraft, and the United States Army being our main customer. And then from that portion of our business, that's where we started. We started doing design build, so designing custom products, custom adapters, fittings, and then we've now built a product line of equipment racks, consoles, and floor adapters for these aircraft. We can go to the next slide, please. This understates how much of our business is defense work. It's closer to about 85, 90%. We're supporting several large Fortune 500 defense contractors, including Raytheon, Sierra Nevada, Leidos, and are in proposal talks with other large prime contractors. As I said, U.S. Army is our main end customer. We do not get direct contracts from the Army. They flow through these larger companies. But in addition, we support Special Operations Command and the Air Force Research Lab. And we do a little bit of work supporting commercial aircraft repairs. Next slide, please. This slide deck is the general one we give mainly to customers. So one advantage we have is my business partner, Alan Bevan, is a FAA DER, Designated Engineering Representative. That's essentially a professional engineering stamp provided by the FAA that allows him to approve mods to aircraft. There's less than 100 of these in the United States. They generally work as consultants. That's one of our advantages that allows us to do what we do. Let's see. You can, next slide. Yeah, and you can actually skip that one, please. So what we're looking to do with this project is bring some manufacturing in-house. Currently, we outsource all of our fabrication. What you're seeing here, the top left picture there is an equipment rack. It's essentially a server rack. These airplanes are flying around. They have cameras, antennas, various sensors, observing enemies, collecting intelligence. These are deployed all over the world, South China Sea, Eastern Europe right now, the Mediterranean, Africa, and collecting intelligence for the armed forces. With all of those sensors, you have to have a lot of computers. That's what the racks are for. And then you'll see what look like some computer monitors there. There's actually people sitting inside these airplanes looking at the data in real time. We manufacture all of these currently in 2 different fabrication facilities in Winchester, Kentucky, and Wilmington, Ohio. The idea with this loan is to bring some of that manufacturing in-house and produce it ourselves instead of outsourcing it. We will still use those facilities, but it's some subset here in Lexington. We also have we're included on proposals that would grow our business substantially over the next several years, and that we're hoping to leverage this program to get ahead of those potential programs. And you can go to the next slide. These are our manufacturing partners, M&S Machining, Airborne Maintenance and Engineering. We do occasionally use Machine Time, which is in Nicholasville. And then lastly, in February, Helios was certified for AS9100. It's a quality management system. It's similar to ISO 9001 that auto manufacturers use, and that allows us to build and manage aerospace-specific programs. So, with this manufacturing, the main portion of the money is for buying a CNC vertical mill, basically a machine to cut aluminum to make these parts. I think that's it. Yep. Yep.
First one, who are your competitors? And then the second one is, how do you acquire business? You respond to bids, like RFPs, through your contractors?
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out who our competitors are. Generally, what we're doing is replacing in-house designs that these companies have come up with, and then usually they hire us to certify them to prove that they are strong enough or meet Army requirements. They usually don't, and then we come back and say, hey, well, we actually make these, and they'll fly right through certification. So Army, Navy, Air Force have review boards to review everything that is going on these airplanes, and the certification process is very onerous, and we're good at that. So we're usually replacing in-house designs. Yes, we get some requests for quotes, and a lot of these companies have terrible acquisition processes because they're so big, but it's a lot of word of mouth. Honestly, engineers will leave one company, go to the next one, and say, "Hey, this worked really well on a previous program. Let's use them here." So, thank you.
Just to piggyback on that a little bit, I think you mentioned in your in your conversation there that you guys are included on you're a subcontractor, so you're included on a lot of proposals coming up. So and how far out does that go?
Yeah, so a variety. So we have probably four programs that would be within the next 12 months to kick off. Generally, the programs, they can take 2 years to finally deliver. Our portion is not as complex as some of the other aspects of the programs, but we're included on some programs that would be up to 10 years long, and potentially dozens of aircraft, both for the United States as well as close allies of the United States. Yeah. So it would, if those take off, the business would grow substantially.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
And we, 3 of the 4 of us that currently work there are University of Kentucky grads. We continually have UK interns, and that's where we would look for future hires likely. Yeah, the presentation's over. Yeah. Thank you.
Just to simplify and restate, if the board does choose to move forward with this, it would be a $120,000 loan for a period of 10 years. You would establish the interest rate and so on. Probably the easiest way to proceed with motion would just be according to the recommendations in the staff report, if you'd like to use that. Yes, sir.
Just to note, the 10-year treasury isn't that low anymore. Unfortunately, it's more like 2.926. So not that I want to change the rate, or I'm suggesting to change the rate, just maybe for your notes, you might want to make
So
sure.
it has increased. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. It does, and this is a non-forgivable program, so it completely makes sense, but.
Sure. Also, Evan Thompson with Law had mentioned that we didn't bring up, it was listed in the staff report, but it was not in the motion for the last item, the personal guarantee. So we may need to go back to clean that up as well, just to make sure that that motion includes personal guarantee.
You didn't list it, but it was at the bottom, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's on the conditions for both of them, yes.
No more questions? Do we have a motion on this application?
Make a motion to approve the loan and the 3%.
Second.
Sure. So the last item on your agenda, there is just an update regarding the Child Neurology Foundation. You'll recall that they were before the board and received a forgivable loan in the amount of $100,000 back in February of last year. And as part of that, they were required to hire 2 jobs at a $31 an hour average wage. They did receive 2 draws of $50,000, one after they hired each one of those jobs. CNF got in touch with us probably about 6 weeks ago because just difficulty with the current market, hiring and retaining staff. So pre-agreement, they had 5 total employees, and post-agreement now, they still have 5 employees, even though there's been some change there. They've hired those 2 positions, and one was terminated and one moved on, and these sort of things happen with changes in job titles and so on. So after discussing this with them, we had representatives from law and finance on the call as well. And again, typically loan forgiveness is tied to compliance and would have occurred in February of this year. So they would receive a 10th of their loan reduced at the end of each year. But what we are proposing, CNF and staff have agreed to move forward as follows. That loan forgiveness would be deferred until the applicant's compliant with the requirements of the agreement, but will not exceed the original 10-year term. The board's policy doesn't allow it to go past that 10-year point. That there would be an additional review in 6 months, which would be October of this year, to reevaluate that compliance. And we've also requested that the applicant, that CNF, provide a monthly update just to keep us informed regarding progress towards filling the required positions. The only thing I'd like to add is that there was a factor that made this an easy decision, and that's that even without the 2 new positions, the applicant's more than meeting the payroll requirements as required in the agreement. In other words, their payroll has increased due to market and everything else that's happening right now with the economy. It has increased more than what it would be required with those 2 new jobs. So even though they have 5 jobs rather than 7, they're still exceeding the payroll requirements that they had proposed. So just wanted to update the board in that regard.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I assume they're still located in Fayette County. They used to be down in the Portofino building, but I know they've left there, but they're still here.
Yeah, their office location is still in Fayette County. They're still planning on growing. They have plans for those 2 new jobs this year. They're having just candidly, they're having the same issue that everybody else is having, where people are wanting to work more remotely, and those applicants may not be in Fayette County. So they are pivoting a bit to try to figure out which positions they want in the office here and what they can hire locally.
Caroline, they're down where the Stein Group used to be. I don't know, Jefferson. And one of the things we talked about in this was, when we were talking, just so you all know, the 6-month number came about because, as you recall from a couple of months ago on the compliance discussion we had, we kind of looked at a 6-month window for those companies to come back and kind of give us an update on where they were. So we're trying to be consistent across the board, and that's where that 6 months came from. Questions for Craig?
Seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, so I guess we would just need a motion to accept his recommendation. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Craig. Anything else? Now, you mentioned, are we good with the motion on the first one, or do we need to do?
Just to ensure that the personal guarantee is included in there, if the board wouldn't mind adding that to the motion, I think it'd be a good idea.
You're killing me. But I also move that we add the compliance of a personal guarantee to our previous motion.
Second. All in favor?
I know.
Anything from the board?
No.
All right, well, we got a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned.
I just hope, now that we're off,